It's great to have you all here. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's amazing to see so many people here in our session. We'll be recording this session to go to our YouTube channel as well. So the ones who couldn't join us live, so they can also watch this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to ask you to please start typing in the chat where you're listening from. I would love to see where are you all from. Here with me today, so I'm Marcela. I'm the program director at Yunus and Youth. I'm speaking with you from São Paulo, Brazil. I also have two of our team members here with us. They'll be answering your questions on the chat. They are Renata and Beatriz. Thank you, ladies, for being here, supporting this webinar. It's a great pleasure to have you here. I'm seeing Love from the Philippines, Wahid from the United Arab Emirates, Bivuti from Nepal. Wow, guys, you're all the way across the world. So this is always amazing. Yoga from India. Renata, of course, from Brazil. Renata is one of our alumni. She'll be sharing more about her experience. Thank you so much, Renata, for joining. Thank you all. So it's just a great pleasure to have you all here. We're about to start this session. I hope you all enjoy it. Please type any questions that you might have in the chat. When we finish the session, we'll open up the space for anyone to open their microphones and ask any questions about the Yunus and Youth selection process. So before we start our talk today, I just wanted to give you some updates. I know that many of you are anxious, have been emailing us a lot. So just to tell you a bit more about our selection process, yesterday we closed the application form. We received 2,698 applications from 130 countries. This is an insane number. It's almost 3 times the number of applicants we received last year. So the team has been like incredibly thankful, but also a bit scared of the number of people who are interested in the program. So I just want to thank you all for applying. We're now in the process of reading the applications. Soon you all start getting our emails and updates about your status. So please, please, please bear with us because we're all humans. We don't have any machines learning, AI or anything like this reading applications. We have a beautiful team of human beings. Renata and Beatriz are here as proof that they are living and they are human beings. So please bear with us while we read all the applications. We want to give everybody a fair chance. So we want to read each and every of your applications with our whole presence, and so I just wanted to update you and let you know that that we're reading it. So we already have a questions here. Will applications submitted on the 20th before the deadline time be considered? Yes. So we closed the form right at the deadline. So there are no applications received after deadline. So if you got to submit your application, it was on time. So yeah, so we're very excited to read it. We have already been reading the applications, and we know there are amazing businesses out there and amazing young people. So the next step into the selection process will be the motivation challenge. So for the ones who submitted the application form and get selected to the next step, you'll receive an email from us asking you to record a video telling us more about yourself and about your story. And the webinar today is also going to help with a little bit about what you need to do with that. But we also recorded another webinar on May 10th about the Ikigai philosophy that will be very helpful for this exercise. You can go in our YouTube channel and watch the recording. After we receive all the videos, we'll watch all the videos again, human beings watching the videos, and we'll be inviting you for interviews with us. After the interviews, we'll finally announce the Y&Y Fellows, and we'll start the fellowship in the end of August. So we're all very excited about this. We have today our 4th webinar, so about self-knowledge for social innovation. And then we also have a 5th webinar coming up in August, where we'll bring in our partner organizations to talk a little bit about how to succeed when applying to international opportunities. So let's start. I just wanted to give you this quick update before we started. I clicked on something that I shouldn't have. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. There's a link here. I don't know why. Okay, sorry about that. So here's a little bit about the agenda of what we're speaking about today. So we're going to cover the self-knowledge concept. Beatriz is going to share with us a little bit about the Johari window. We're also going to learn about this super useful tool called the personal SWOT matrix. We're bringing in some fellows to tell us about their examples and their stories. And then we're going to give you valuable tips about the interview process with Yunus and Youth. And finally, we have a Q&A session where you will be able to share anything that you want to ask us. So I think one thing that's very important here when we talk about self-knowledge that you might be asking, so what is the Yunus and Youth Fellowship? From what I understood, it was a process to accelerate social businesses. Why are they talking about self-knowledge? And here I am to clarify. So Yunus and Youth looks at you not only as a social entrepreneur, we look at you as human beings. So you are a person, and people have many different aspects and many things going on. So that's why we want to truly get to know who you are. And for us to get to know who you are, you need to know yourself. So we want to give you some tips and pointers for you to start thinking about this. So when it comes the time for you to tell us who you are, you already know it better, right? So talking a little bit about what is self-knowledge. So self-knowledge can be defined as an actual, genuine information that one possesses about oneself. So this is what you know about who you are, right? And this can include personality traits, emotional states, your needs, goals, your values, opinions, beliefs, and so on and so forth. Every person has a unique story, has unique background and values. And our role in creating a positive change in our communities is as unique as we are. So to be the change we want to see in the world, we need to first get to know ourselves. And this is why we're here today. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. Another thing that it's important, that self-knowledge does not represent only a process, right? So it's the result of a multiple reflection and social processes. So it's not an end destination, it's a journey, right? And this should be your main guidance when making your decisions. You need to understand who you are and what are your boundaries so you can make good decisions in life and for your business as well. So this is why it's important to understand more about your story, your goals, your motivations, your strengths, your weaknesses, and this what will enable you to make choices that count you first. And here I want to just reinforce that we see that many times the social entrepreneurs we work with, they are so focused on the purpose, on their community, on the change they want to make that they forget about themselves. And it's essential for you to always remember why you started doing it. Why is this important for you as a person? For you to keep safe, for you to take care of yourself as well. Because to create the change, again, you need to be well and you need to know why you're doing this. So that's why we reinforce the importance of thinking about the entrepreneurs as a person as well, and not just evaluating the business. So of course, in the selection process, we want to understand what have you achieved, what is your social business, what kind of impact have you had so far, but we also want to know you as a person. Why did you start doing this? Why do you do this? What are your personal motivations? So now I pass the word to Bia. She's going to tell us a little bit more about this useful tool that's called the Johari window.
Thank you, Marcela. So it's very important for us to use some tools to discover more about ourselves. One of these tools is the Johari window, and it's one tool that you can use talking with other people to discover more about yourself, and also you discovering more about yourself with a reflection time. So we have like a part of that it's the open self. It's about when a person knows about themselves, and this is also known by others. So this is shared for the external world, so others know about that and you know about that too. But sometimes you have some things that you don't know about yourself, but others know about yourself. And this is called the blind self. And it's super common that the blind self, you discover more about it, and it begins to be like an open self if you receive feedback from other people. It's very important that you ask feedback, so the blind self is going to be smaller than it was before, because you are knowing more about yourself, receiving feedback from others. So you are discovering new things about your personality, about your beliefs, about your behavior. So it's super important to use feedback. And it's something that we always incentivize in business. Another thing that it's super important is the hidden self, but sometimes, I don't know, I think we should try to put this hidden self more, turning it into an open self, but it's something difficult sometimes, because some people just show like some things just for themselves, not to others. So they just like put some vulnerabilities just for them. They do not share that with the world. And it's something that maybe we can try to change somewhat. And it's important to reflect why we just share for us. It's maybe can be like, oh, sometimes I cried, but I don't cry in front of people. Maybe you can try to do an exercise and try to change it, because it's important to share vulnerabilities with others, to become more you, to become more a human, and become more like a person who can relate with others in a different way, in an empathetic way, in I don't know if you are getting what I'm trying to say about it. So it's very good that you try to change this part, and the hidden self you can try changing by yourself, putting more about you to the external world, and the blind self asking to others feedback. This is a part for you to try to change, trying to be more and increase your square of the open self. And we also have one square that it's the unknown self, and it is something that even us didn't know about it. We don't know about it, but others don't know about it too. So it's very difficult because you don't know about it and others don't know about it. So you cannot write about it, but it's something that you can try. You can try different things to know if you like that or no. For instance, I don't know if I like to scuba diving, but maybe I can do that, and I go there and I see that I really enjoy it. And maybe I can turn it into a profession. I don't know, it's something that you can discover. So the unknown self, it's when you have potential to discover new things about you that you can use in your life in future. And it's super important for you to try to know more about yourself. And this can be a good exercise for you to try to write some topics and some points down in a paper about you, to understand more who you are, what your motivations came from, about asking others more feedback. Oh, I don't like this thing, but let's try to discover why I don't like this thing. Maybe it's something that happened in the past, or maybe you just don't like, and life is like that. So it's important, and it's a good tool for you to use, trying to understand more about yourself, even to position you as a social entrepreneur. So this is one of the tools. And right now I'm going back to Marcela to talk about the other tool that we're going to see today.
Great, thank you so much, Pia. I hope learning more about the Johari window was useful for you all. The idea of us sharing these tools with you is so it's easier for you to tell us more about who you are and for you to learn more about yourself. So before I talk about the SWOT matrix, I'm going to invite Renata Rizzi here. Renata, I know that you are here if you want to. Hello.
Hello.
It's been a while. Hey, before we go into the next activity, I would love to learn from you some more. So we know that people love learning who our fellows are. So that's we invited Renata here today to share us briefly about her personal story and her origins. So this will also be an example for you to understand how can you better introduce yourselves when we get to an interview and when you send us the video. So, hey, please tell us a little bit about your business and about yourself.
Hi, Ma. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today with you and wish you the best of luck. I remember I'm sitting in the same chair I was when I sent the video to apply to Yunus and Youth. And I remember I spent the whole afternoon trying to make it better. And when it was good, it was longer than the 3 minutes and it was horrible, but it worked and it was totally worth it. So I wish you all the best of luck. I'm super grateful to Yunus and Youth. I learned so much through this experience and I always recommend it to everyone. I think it gives us not only the right tools, mentors, and the exchange between different entrepreneurs all over around the world, but it also gives us the boost that one of the biggest references in social impact in the world who knows so much about it is giving us their time and their recognition, and it gives us so much energy to go on and keep increasing our impact. So I'm super happy to be here and I hope you all enjoy this experience as well. Well, I'm Renata. I'm the founder of Utopiar. Utopiar is a fashion brand that aims to disrupt the domestic violence cycle. We work with women under domestic violence situation, teaching them how to make our products. So we teach them embroidery and dyeing techniques in order for them to boost their self-esteem and generate income so they can actually break the domestic violence cycle. We first started selling our products in a B2B model. So they were pretty much corporate gifts for big companies such as Avon, Accenture, and others. And with the quarantine, the COVID situation, all the companies, they suddenly canceled the contracts because they couldn't afford to spend money with anything else other than keeping their employees. So we had to do a whole new business plan. And ever since, we've been pretty much selling online on a D2C model through our website. And even though it happened after the Yunus program had finished, Yunus fostered a sustainable fashion group on WhatsApp. And we've been doing a lot of exchanges from there. So now I'm in touch not only with the fellows from my current group, but also from the other editions as well. I think Yunus helped us build this great community.
Great. And hey, can you tell us just a little bit more about your personal background and how do you think your story influenced how you started your business?
Sure. I used to work in marketing. I was responsible for the marketing of Swarovski company here in Latin America. And even though it was such a feminine, girly industry, I still noticed a lack of women in top management positions. And I started looking at that in order to understand what my perspectives were in terms of career. And suddenly I read about this ridiculous level of violence against women here in Brazil. Back then I had no idea. We are the 5th country in the world that most kills women. And the main aggressor usually is their husband, boyfriend, or ex. Knowing that was super scary to me. And it took me back to a story that I had lived many years ago, and it was well hidden under the rug. I decided not to remember of it and just move on. I think that has a lot to do with what you were saying before about personal growth and self-knowledge. It was very tough, but I had to face it. When I was 17, my house was broken into. I was made hostage, and I suffered many different forms of violence. The day itself, it was very, very hard. But what came after that, I think, was even harder. I had depression, panic syndrome, nightmares, anxiety, everything, you name it, I had it pretty much. And it was the senior year of high school. All my friends were thinking of college application, partying, all those things. And I couldn't get out of bed for many months. Then once I did, my mom would take me to my classroom holding hands. And it was really, really, really hard. By the end of the year, I had to apply to a college, and I hadn't been to school pretty much most of the year. So little by little, I got things back in control, back in track. But I never made peace with my story. I think it was never fair to me. But then when I realized that in Brazil, most of the women suffer daily violence coming from the ones they should trust the most, and having no one to ask for help, that's when I realized my story, yes, it was horrible. It was really horrible, but it wasn't that bad, because I had only one day of violence coming from unknown people, strangers, and followed by the full support of my family. So somehow I wanted to be to these women what my family was to me, because if it wasn't for my family, I don't know what would have happened. So this is how Utopia was first born inside me. I didn't know what to do with that, so I first started talking to organizations from the first and third sector, and they told me women were leaving domestic violence situation because they were financially dependent on the aggressor. So because I was in fashion marketing, I decided I would start a fashion company in which all pieces would be made by women in domestic violence.
Wow, this story gives me goosebumps. Thank you so much for sharing. I think this is, I don't know, I think it's incredible how you turned this very tough moment of your life into strength, into power, into creativity, and you use that to help make the lives of other women better. And by that, you made your life better as well. So thank you so much for sharing your story. And I hope that this example will help you all into better understanding your stories as well, because we all have beautiful journeys, but sometimes we don't get in touch with it. So this is why this reflection and self-knowledge exercises are so important. And this is why we want to foster this kind of mindset into everyone. So you start thinking about it. Today, what we're doing is just scratching the surface of this immensely huge universe of knowledge and tools and conversations we could have, of course. So we just want to talk a little bit about this, and hopefully you'll be interested in learning more. Thank you so much, Renata, again, for sharing with us your story. And you know that we are here to help you in any way that we can with your business. We and the entire Unison Youth community. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ma. I think we all have bumps in the way, but we can always get up from them, and we can make them, maybe turn them into life purpose. So if I can help anyone, please let me know. I'll be super happy to do it. And good luck to everyone.
Thank you so much. Now we'll continue with the other activities. So I just wanted to call Renata because I know that she has as well other meetings, and we didn't have much time with her, but I thought we couldn't miss the chance of hearing her story. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you also learn more about her business. We have here on the chat the links to her business and to her profile at the Unison Youth website. So we're going to continue with the next activity. If you have any questions, you can send us on the chat. And just as you know, for the ones who have been watching the past webinars, always after the call, we have a link for you to complete an activity, post the webinar for you to reflect on what we discussed and send us a feedback. So today's activity will be about the personal SWOT matrix. So we're going to tell you a little bit about how it works right now, and then you'll do your own SWOT matrix and send us your reflections. So most of you, I believe, know about the SWOT matrix. So this is a super useful business tool. We have been seeing this matrix everywhere, I think. Whenever we talk about business or about starting something, some project, we talk about the SWOT matrix. But today we're going to look at the SWOT matrix in a different way. We're going to look at it through a self-knowledge lens. So we're going to think about our personal SWOT matrix, right? So we're going to reflect on the strengths and weaknesses that are inside us. And we'll also reflect on the opportunities and threats that might be out in our ecosystem that might influence who we are as well. And this exercise is very good to help us better understand what are we going through and what will be your next steps. So I'm going to share with you some questions to help you reflect on these 4 points. And the idea is that you work on this exercise by yourself. When we finish the activity, we're going to share with you the link on the chat for the activity post webinar. So you can work on this and share with us what did you learn. And the idea is that you should take this lightly. This is just an activity, an exercise to be helpful. So let's go for the questions. So when you're thinking about the strengths, you can use these questions to help guide you through this reflection. So what are you good at naturally? What skills have you worked to develop? What are your talents or natural born gifts? What do you do better than anyone else? What personal resources can you access? What do other people see as your strengths? Which of your achievements are you most proud of? What values do you believe in that others fail to exhibit? Are you part of a network that no one else is involved in? Can your expertise in some area make a difference to the organization? So here, when we reflect about what Renata shared with us, we can think that she pointed out in her speech many of these strengths, right? She mentioned that she had experience in marketing, in the fashion industry. She mentioned how she had this great network of people in the corporate world. So she had access to all of this knowledge from the industry, and that's the strengths that she had that helped her build her business. So you can also do the same reflection, because we all have different journeys and you have learned a lot. So I can tell you for sure that you have a lot of strengths that you can share with the world. And then on weaknesses, we can also reflect on this. So what are your negative work habits or traits? For example, are you frequently late? Do you have poor communication skills? Does any part of your education or training need improvement? What do other people see as your weakness? What do other traits that you could improve? Do you worry too much about deliverables? Do you have a fear of failure? So these are all questions that could help you reflect on your weaknesses. But here I also want you to invite you to look at your weaknesses as an invitation to creativity, right? So here, for example, Renata shared with us her experience that was very bad when these robbers broke into her home, and how violent it was, and how this was a very negative experience for her. But when she got in touch with that, she reflected upon it, and she created something beautiful from this. So this is an invitation for you to look at your weaknesses from a kind place. So not as a judgmental place, so not as looking down yourself, but looking at it as a place to grow. So what are still the aspects of my life that I can make better, right? So always think about it positively. And now we're looking for the outside world. So for the first 2 points, we were looking inside. So we were looking for what's in ourselves. And now we're looking for opportunities that come from outside. So if you think about anything that could be an opportunity from the outside world, and here are some questions to help you think about it. Of course, you don't need to answer all of those. These are all to spark interest and to help you brainstorm, right? So is your industry growing? Has a new technology or industry trend emerged? How can you take advantage of what's going on, right? Do you have a network of strategic contacts to help you or offer good advice? So here, for example, Renata looked into her network, right? And into her industry. She also saw opportunity in seeing that other women faced a lot of violence, and that she could use her experience to help those women, right? So she saw opportunity in what's going on outside. So here are some other questions that might help you reflect on this point. And what are the threats? So as well, so what's going on outside in the ecosystem that could threat you in some way? And you can use this knowledge to prepare yourself. So better prepare for the adversities that might come. Right, so here are some interesting questions to help you think about this. So what is the biggest external danger to your goals that you want to achieve? What are the obstacles that come from outside that prevent you from achieving your targets, right? So here are some interesting as well thoughts for you to reflect on. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about the SWOT matrix? If not, I'm going to move on. We're also going to hear about another fellow. This is Naomi. She's from Honduras. She just joined our most recent cohort. She sent us a video in Spanish, and it has subtitles for all of you to follow. I'm going to play, but I'm going to need someone to tell me if you can hear the audio or not.
We can't, Ma.
Okay, you can't. So let me try something different. Let me know now.
Hola a todos y todas, soy Naomi Manzanares, tengo 25 años, soy alumni Yunus en Youth y soy hondureña. Siempre he disfrutado de pertenecer a programas que potencien mis habilidades y eso me ha ayudado a descubrir cuáles son esas características que me diferencian y en qué debo de trabajar en mi desarrollo personal para poder llegar al punto en el que me visualizo. Una de las características que me fascinan, que he descubierto, es mi capacidad de poder transformar mi entorno a través de pequeños actos que tienen impacto en la vida de las personas y también me encanta saber que tengo un poder con mi voz. Me encanta saber que puedo comunicar y conectar con las personas. Y eso me ha incentivado a trabajar mi desarrollo personal, enfocando mis habilidades y uniendo lo que tiene que ver con la innovación social y la creatividad de impacto, para poder sembrar esas ideas en las personas y compartir con ellas la perspectiva en la que yo miro las cosas, que sí podemos crear ideas, sí podemos cambiar la vida de las personas, sí podemos crear proyectos que son autosustentables. Yo he creado un emprendimiento social que está enfocado en las mujeres de una comunidad garífuna, que es una comunidad afrodescendiente que se encuentra en mi país. Ellas pueden utilizar con coco, que es la marca que estamos desarrollando, para poder comercializar sus productos y de esa forma ellas obtener ingresos y mejorar la calidad de vida que tienen dentro de esta comunidad. Yunus en Youth me ha ayudado muchísimo, las herramientas que nos han compartido. Me ha ayudado a conocer mi emprendimiento y saber de cuál es la forma en la que debo irlo desarrollando para seguir creciendo, y también me ha ayudado a conocerme a mí misma, porque debemos de encontrar ese punto de equilibrio en donde nuestro emprendimiento vaya de la mano con nuestros pensamientos, vaya de la mano con nuestras motivaciones y nuestras pasiones, para que perduren el tiempo y para que podamos generar ese impacto positivo que estamos buscando. Les animo a que llenen la inscripción, no se van a arrepentir. Son 6 meses en donde les van a dar muchas herramientas que les van a servir a ustedes para potenciar sus ideas y también para implementarlas en ustedes mismos. Así que adelante. Un gusto para mí compartir con ustedes, pues así, de una forma breve, mi historia, lo que he hecho y cuánto me apasiona lo que son los emprendimientos sociales, a tal grado que me estoy formando en eso. Así que los animo a participar, les va a encantar, yo se los puedo asegurar. Muchísimas gracias por su atención, chicos y chicas, así que no duden en inscribirse.
So this was Naomi. She wasn't able to join us live, but thank you so much, Naomi, for sharing us this beautiful video, telling us more about your your purpose. Great. So we got to the end of the content that we had today. As I mentioned, this was just to scratch the surface, just to make you wonder and to make you think about this topic and to make you reflect on it. So please make sure you complete the activity. I'm going to ask you, the ladies, to please put in the chat the link for the form so you can also complete this exercise. You have all the information there. And as I was mentioning, we're now reviewing the applications that we received. As we said, we received almost 3,000 applications and we have only 4 people in the team to read them. So it will take us a little bit longer than we expected, but we're putting all the energy on it. And we should be getting in touch with all of you very soon. Next, we'll have the motivation challenge. You can use the exercise that we talked about today and during the Ikigai philosophy workshop for you to reflect on it. And later we have interviews. And in August, we'll be announcing the Y&Y Fellows. Now I'm going to also give you some tips on the interview. So I know we already talked about the challenge during our last webinar. You can go into our YouTube channel and watch it again if you missed it, to learn more tips about the challenge. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the interview process. So the interview will be with 2 members of the Y&Y team. There's always 2 members from the Y&Y team. One is always focused on speaking with you and into conducting the interview, and the other one is there as a listener, so we can then later discuss and chat about what how the interview went. This is not supposed to be a moment where you're too nervous. We want you to feel as relaxed as possible in a scenario like this. So for this, you already know many of us. Renata and Beatriz will probably be conducting interviews. We'll have more people from the team as well helping with this. So just know that we'll be there to get to know you. So this won't be a test. You don't need to prepare anything. You don't need to memorize anything. We actually want to know who you are and what are you working on. So of course, there are criteria in which you're evaluated by, but I don't want you to worry a lot about this, because if you get to that point of the selection process, this already means that you would be a perfect YY fellow. And the thing is that we have only a few spots. So as I mentioned, we received 2,698 applications, and we only have around 25 to 30 spots in the final cohort. So we know how competitive this is. So we already know that everyone that goes to interviews could be an amazing fellow. So it will be incredibly difficult for us to select the final cohort. And again, we always try to have as much diversity as we can. So we will do our best to have people from as many countries as we can, as many backgrounds, as many life stories, as many different industries that you're working on, different solutions. So we'll try to create this very diverse group. But we also want to understand at this point, what do you need? So a lot of the interview will be based on understanding. Of course, we'll ask some questions that might not be clear from your selection process. So something that we didn't quite understand from the application form, we'll ask you some questions if something wasn't clear. But we want to know more about your personal story, your journey. You can get inspired by the previous webinars that we gave, and just relax and come in as you are. Remember that you already know you and you already know your business. So this will be like a friendly conversation. Here we brought in some insider tips on the questions that we might ask you. And again, we do have a script that is well thought through, and the entire team goes through it. But this doesn't mean that you'll be asked all of the questions that we have in the script during an interview. So every interview is different because every person is different and every conversation goes in a different way. But here we brought some questions that might be helpful for you to know what's coming and what should you expect. So we will want to know, what part of the fellowship are you most looking forward to? So as we mentioned, we already did 3 workshops. This is the 4th workshop, talking about the fellowship program, talking about what will happen. And we want to know, what are you most excited about? So why do you want to apply for the fellowship? But also, like, reading the program overview that we have online and seeing all this content that we shared, what are you most excited about? Another big component of the program, as you know, is that you get matched with corporate mentors. So we really want to understand what would be the first question that you would ask your mentor. So we want to know what's on your mind, what kind of questions do you have? And for that, we will also be able to understand better who would be the ideal mentor to be matched with you. So that's why it's so important for us to understand this. Another super important component to Yunus and Youth, of course, is the community. So Renata was mentioning how they got together and created this hub for everyone working in sustainable fashion. So this is, of course, again, we want to understand what ideas do you have? How can you use your powers, your strengths to improve our community as well? So how do you want to help us build it? So it's good that you think a little bit about this, and we can continue hearing what you share. And here we have one last question that is, actually it's more of an invitation for you to share with us a lesson that you learned during the development of your social business. So of course, we know that not everything goes well, not everything goes right. And we want to learn something that you experienced, and how did that help you grow, and how did that help you continue your entrepreneurship journey? So these are some of the questions that might come up. But again, every interview is different. We might not ask you any of these questions as well. So just be prepared to tell us more about yourself and about your business and about your story and why do you want to be a part of the community. Honestly, what we want with Yunus and Youth, as you know, is making the challenge of being a social entrepreneur easier. And we make this by connecting people from all over the world. But we want to connect people who want to be connected and who want to build together and create impact together. So that's why it's so important for us to understand if you have the fit with Yunus and Youth and if Yunus and Youth is the right fit for you. So this is why we really want to understand where you are in life, what's going on, what are your difficulties, what are your challenges, what have you gone through and what you still want to build. So again, we are right now finishing the 4th webinar. We have a 5th one coming up in August. From here to then, we have the motivation challenge, we have the interviews, and then we'll have the beginning of the fellowship. But one way or the other, I just want to tell you that we're all connected to LinkedIn. Just from joining these webinars, from joining our activities, you're already part of our community one way or another. We will be bothering you with many resources, with invitations for other opportunities, with everything that we can get access to. We want to democratize access to this kind of knowledge. So we will be sharing everything we can on the LinkedIn group. Our team will be there. Everybody's open to receiving messages from you all if you want to get in touch with us, and we'll be here to help you the best that we can. I see there are some questions here on the chat. So
there's
Bruno
one question before Bruno.
Okay. Bruno's asking for the PPT. We'll, of course, be sharing. We can share the PPT as well. We'll be sharing the recording as well of the session. And then Mahurima, sorry if I mispronounced your name, asked a question. Will only the applicant be allowed to be a part of the interview, or can the co-founder join in too? The co-founder can join in as well. So if you're applying as co-founders, you can both appear on the video, you can both join the interview. And if you're applying as a solo founder, it will be just you. If you get selected, the entire team and everyone that works with you will be able to join the mentoring sessions, the workshops, the activities. So your entire team will be able to join our platform, work on the activities, and everything will be open for everyone. But just during the interview, we ask you not to invite other members from the team. It's good to only have the main decision makers. So if you have a co-founder, of course, they can join you as well on the interview. And there are some other like basic tips for the interview, which is also always be on time. We have, when we start interviews, it's actually a marathon. We do 2 weeks of entire days of interviews, so 10 hours straight of interviewing people. And if you're late, we'll actually have less time because we'll have an interview right after yours. So it's essential for you to be on time so we don't lose any of these important minutes that we have to get to know you. So be on time. Make sure
sorry, Ma, but just to add, I think you also can use like a time zone checker to be sure that you are on the right time zone, because we are on America. So we are, for instance, we are in Brazil and Argentina, and it's very important for you to double check the time zone. So to not miss your time and your interview, because sometimes it happens and it's super difficult to reschedule an interview.
Yes, no, thank you, Bia, for this. We always send the invitation with a link for you to convert the time, but it's very important that you pay attention to this, because with like daylight savings time, like this always changes. So you need to be very aware of the time of the interview. Of course, we use these automatic websites that send you reminders, and ideally they work, but it's always good to check, to double check the time zone. Another thing that I was going to say is try to go somewhere where you have stable internet connection. If you can't find anywhere that we can use video, we don't need video, we just need the voice. So that's why it's we can make it work. We do our best to make it work, but we also need you to try and do it, because we won't be able to conduct the interview if we can't hear you. So this is very important as well. And
I think another tip is if you have any questions for us, you can note them to ask during the interview, because since it's a conversation, we will be able to have this exchange and asking and replying some question, asking some questions. So feel free to ask some question for us too. If you don't understand something about the program, it's the time for you to clarify all information.
Yes, yes, that's perfect. It's the time for you to get to know us as well. So I know we have been talking a lot. We have been trying to be as transparent as we can, but we know that many times you still have questions. So this will also be the moment for you to have a one-on-one moment with us and ask any questions that you might have. So I think this was all for today. We're going to stop recording now.